Did you pick your labour rate out of thin air? If you're like almost every other auto repair shop owner, you probably did. I'm Dean from the Workshop Whisperer. This is the original Workshop Whisperer herself, Rachael Evans, and welcome to today's episode of Talking Shop. Rach, tell us, why do so many auto repair shop owners just pull a random number out of thin air and make that their labour rate?
It's really common, but that doesn't mean we want that to be normal. But unfortunately, it is. And it really only comes down to an innocent mistake in the beginning, where if you started your shop from scratch, you didn't necessarily know about something called your break-even point. So you didn't put any maths into the compiling of your labour rate. If you purchased your shop from someone else, you likely, to begin with, just went with whatever labour rate
Adopted what was there?
Was on the books at the time. And the more you learn and the more you open yourself up to potential ways of running your business better, you've probably worked out that labour rate is one of the important ones, but you may not have still been compelled to actually sit down and do the numbers. And there's a couple of reasons for that, but the biggest one is usually the perceived pressure because of your competition and where their labour rate may be at. And that's actually one of the biggest impediments to you making the profit you need for your business to be a success.
Yeah, so the reason that the number that's been chosen has been chosen, often it's because competitor pressure. You don't want to be seen to be more expensive than the competitors in your area. Often it's because you have this belief of what people in your local area will pay, like you're essentially charging yourself out with your own limitation, your own wallet. Or third, as we said, you just inherited a number and you actually never considered to change it. Talk through why getting a labour rate right is so important and is one of the biggest levers that an auto repair business has available to them to improve their cash flow position.
When you understand what GP you need across the board on average from every job, you can then walk backwards to see where in the gross profit equation your business is underperforming or your pricing isn't doing the job for you that it needs to. Because none of you have a business that is deemed a not-for-profit, but some of you run your businesses like they are. And that's the sad reality. There's too many businesses that are breaking even or making a loss, and the amount of stress that causes for not just for the business owner or the couple, but that stuff trickles back into the household and to the kids and all that kind of stuff. It's pure profit that can come from your labour rate and the labour side of the equation. And that's why it's so important that your labour rate is where it needs to be to make its right contribution to your gross profit. When you don't charge enough based on the costs that are unique to you, so you've all got, even though you might do the same work as somebody who's a kilometre down the road and you have a similar size shop, same size team, that doesn't mean your costs are the same. So you'd be paying slightly different salaries to your technicians, for instance. Your rent or mortgage might be slightly different. And there's a set of fixed costs that go into every break-even rate that aren't going to be identical. That's why you can't base your labour rate off what the bloke down the road charges.
We don't know the running costs of his business.
We don't. And unless you do the maths on your break-even point to realise, well, I need this as a minimum before I even open my roller door in the morning every hour just to break even, you start to get real about how undervalued your advertised labour rate is. Then, if we can take you a step further than that, you realise how inadequate that advertised rate is when you're doing diagnostic jobs where you don't have gross profit coming from parts to contribute to those hours when you're diagnosing.
If you're finding the problem, then you're not fixing the problem.
That's right.
And they require different rates because of
that's exactly right.
what you're losing.
So we see so many who haven't worked out their break-even point to start with, who are basing their labour rate off what's happening with pricing in the local area and feel too scared to make any movement to increase their labour rate because they think it'll cost them customers. Well, only breaking even or spending a few years making a loss will put you out of business and there will be no more customers anyway. So choose what you want. Choose to think about that vision you had when you went into business of independence and freedom, of not working for someone else, and back yourself to put the price on your labour that your business needs to make a profit. You're not a not-for-profit, you're a for-profit entity. That means you've got to do pricing with maths involved based on what you need to make a profit.
Yeah, if your goal is to be the cheapest operator in town, then please don't be surprised when your business goes broke first. It's a race you don't want to win, but it's what we've seen time and time and time again. You need to price according to the GP numbers that a solidly profitable auto repair shop needs to make in order to be able to run the business, pay the tax office, put some money in your own back pocket, and have some left over as profit for the rainy day and the fun money that you need to have in the future. So you got to make sure that your labour rate is on point.
Making a profit is a decision. It doesn't happen by accident.
Absolutely. Hey, we'll see you on the next episode of Talking Shop.
See you then.